Peace be upon everyone in our community. Alhamdulillah, it's good to have our ICVA Islamic Center Virginia and Richmond, Virginia area community. May Allah Almighty gather us together in our hearts and minds as we wish to be gathered together physically. May Allah Almighty give us healing and strength spiritually and physically, and especially in the coming month of Ramadan. May Allah Almighty make that to be our best Ramadan ever, inshallah ta'ala. So we're talking in our last dars or halaqa about the verse of the Holy Quran, شهر رمضان الذي أنزل فيه القرآن هدى للناس وبينات من الهدى والفرقان. The month of Ramadan in which Allah Almighty has revealed the Quran, that is, He sent the Quran to the lowest heaven completely, entirely, and He sent to the Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessing be upon him, in Ghar Hira, in the grotto or cave in the mountain of Hira in Mecca, that first Ramadan of Islam. He sent him the beginning part of Surah Iqra, read in the name of your Lord. So the entire Quran was sent down to the lowest heaven, that is of this world, and in that Laylatul Qadr, that night of power, night of decree, in that first Ramadan of Islam, and then each part of it, each set of verses and chapters was revealed to the Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessing be upon him, directly, piece by piece, bit by bit, over the next 23 years of his life, alayhi salatu wasalam. And Allah said that the Quran was revealed in this month of Ramadan, and that's the reason why we fasted. And so Allah said, describing the Quran, Hudan linnas wa bayinatin min al-huda wal furqan. It's guidance for all humanity and a clear explanation of the guidance and the criterion between good and evil, right and wrong. And this is very important. I'd just like to think about it just for a few minutes, inshallah. What does it mean that the Quran is hudan linnas? It is guidance for all people, all human beings, everywhere and always, inshallah. And baynatim min al-huda, and clear explanation of the meaning of the guidance. And so it's guidance and explanation of the meaning of guidance. That only comes to us from study, contemplation, and tadabbur of ma'ani al-Quran, of the meaning of the Holy Quran. It's tafsir, and then when we do that, it becomes bayan, it becomes something that is explained to us clearly so that we can understand it, inshallah ta'ala. Nothing helps us to understand the reality of Allah, God Almighty, as much as when we see that everything is going wrong. Everything in the world is screwed up. It's chaos. We used to think that we had wise, benevolent leaders who had our best interests in heart and could lead us to a better way of life in our nation, in our community. And now, unfortunately, we see that the majority of leaders are corrupt and ignorant. In fact, some of them are the worst and least qualified people in their country, almost as if in some particular countries, I'm not going to name which country, but you can pick and choose, inshallah. But in some countries, if they made a national lottery and just drew the names out randomly of people and made them president, they couldn't do a worse job than has happened lately. And you fill in the name of the countries that you think are most appropriate, inshallah ta'ala. So when we see the chaos and things are broken, we realize that we are utterly dependent on Allah Ta'ala for everything always. When things are going well, everything seems like it's on course. I was just talking to our friend Waleed Tinawi, who's producing this event on behalf of Islamic Center Virginia, alhamdulillah. And I was telling him, I just found yesterday cleaning out my desk, because I'm sitting in my office every day, cleaning out my desk and files, shredding old khutbahs and, cleaning up stuff. So I found my schedule in January. I wrote in detail my entire schedule for all my khutbahs, classes, studies, everything I was going to do between January, Ramadan, Eid al-Fitr, and summertime, all the way till Eid al-Adha, alhamdulillah. And I took that thing, and it's the first thing to go into the shredder. It's absolutely worthless. All the plans that I made, nothing happened. And so there's nothing wrong with making plans, but I had to acknowledge that Allah is the best of all planners, alhamdulillah. And so when everything is going good for us, we have an illusion that we're in control, that we can literally schedule our lives, our children's lives, plan everything. And then when things are sort of chaotic and out of control, it actually can bring us closer to Allah Ta'ala. That it is an illusion that we are actually in control of everything in our lives. And that's why Allah Almighty has decreed fasting when He said, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu, kutiba alaykum as-siyam. Oh, you who have iman, who have faith in Allah, fasting has been decreed for you, prescribed for you. And so when we fast, our body's saying, are you crazy? I'm hungry, feed me. I'm thirsty, give me something to drink. Your body has all of its needs, which are natural and completely legitimate. And your brain has been created by Allah to warn you and send to you the signals that you need to go and pursue those things. So if we didn't have an inner need for reproduction, for example, human race would have been long extinct. If we didn't have an inner need telling us to eat and drink, we would have died. But it was a blessing from Allah Ta'ala. But when we're full and satisfied, pursuing all of our desires, legitimate though they may be, we forget that it is Allah who is sending us that signal. It is a sign of His care for us and His compassion, and that He is the source of our bounty, and that everything that we need comes from Him. So while we're fasting, there are going to be long days, and a lot of people are going to be stuck in their homes, a little bit bored. Of course, other people are going to be busy, frantically working. Just think about our brothers and sisters and make dua and prayer for all of our community members who are in the front lines, working hard, saving lives, protecting us. Each night, we will be broadcasting live the recitation of the Quran by our Taraweeh imams, our local Hufad in our community, inshallah, so that we can be part of the community. You could watch Quran on any channel, but by watching our local imams and Hufad, you are going to be connected to our community every evening, inshallah. And that will start at 8:30 p.m. And at 9:15, I will do the tafsir. And this year, I'll do a little bit more lengthy tafsir. Every other year in the masjid, because people are crowded into the mosque, it's kind of hot, they're going to drink water, and so I have to speed it up. But I can do, inshallah, a 30-minute tafsir of the Quran, inshallah, so that by the end of the month, we have studied the entire Quran with some real depth. And my goal for this is that each of us will find out what the message of the Quran is for us as individuals and families and communities here today, inshallah. We're also going to have on Monday and Thursday at 6:15, that is after the Asr prayer, before Iftar, we're going to have a series of halaqas by many different of our local speakers, inshallah ta'ala, on many great subjects. As you can see, taqwa, dua, connecting with the Quran, istighfar, forgiveness, and many other great events. And you can see that will be on Monday, Thursday, every week, inshallah. And we'll have private women's halaqas on every Sunday, starting from this coming Sunday, the 26th. And all participants have to go register ahead of time so they can get a password so that only our sisters, inshallah, can attend those halaqas, inshallah. And so I think you'll get all the information in your email. And if not, go on the website, inshallah, and give them your email address, inshallah ta'ala. Now, I'd also like to tell you about our next important program. Every night in Ramadan, we feed people. Anybody is welcome, but there are lots of families who really need and depend on those iftars, those iftars every evening. So this year we can't do that. So we are preparing the food and handing it out here in a drive-through in the Islamic Center. So every night, inshallah, we'll have one-way traffic. You will enter the one drive and it will be marked and there will be people directing you and all the cars will pull through and you stay in your car and the food will be put into your trunk, inshallah, and then you drive out the exit way, inshallah ta'ala. So we are organizing the volunteers and also funding this activity. So if you want to help support this activity, as people have supported generously our iftars every year, please do so. Thank you, and Allah bless you, those who have already given their support. But please, we need more people. And even if you can't and you don't have the money, maybe inshallah you can volunteer and help, inshallah ta'ala, every evening here, 5:30 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. inshallah ta'ala, to get your drive-through iftar from the Islamic Center of Virginia, inshallah ta'ala. If you have any questions for me, if you have a need of a fatwa or an answer to a question or explanation or any other need, you can email me and then I can email you back. Or if it's appropriate, I can incorporate the question into the program, inshallah, every evening. And if it's a private question or something, I can email you back, inshallah. And you can always call me here at the Islamic Center in the office. I'm in the office every day, inshallah. But sometimes I'm not there to pick up. But if you try again, inshallah, I'll be there as well. But my email is Imam, ICVA, Islamic Center Virginia, at Gmail, inshallah ta'ala. There are lots of questions that people have about do's and don'ts in the month of Ramadan. And some of the questions were about the niyyah, or the intention. Is it necessary to formulate the niyyah every night in the month of Ramadan? And that's a very interesting question, inshallah ta'ala. And so I would like to talk a little bit about niyyah, or intention, in Islam, and especially in the month of Ramadan, as an answer to this question. We all know, I think, that the Prophet, peace and blessing be upon him, said in the famous hadith, "Innamal a'malu binniyat," that actions are only by intention. That is, Allah judges our actions according to what we intended. And you have to understand what intention means. Every action that we do has a motivation, its beginning, that drives it or causes us to do that action. Actions could be words you say. Those are amal al-lisan. Words are actions of the tongue. Or they could be al-amal bil-jawarih, works of the limbs. Or they could be amal al-qalb, works of the heart. That is your beliefs. So the niyyah is in the heart. The heart is sort of metaphorical for your inner motivations. And so intention is the opposite of actions, because the Prophet said, innamal a'malu binniyat, that actions come later. First comes the intention, and that's what makes the difference. Your motivation makes a difference with Allah Ta'ala. That means your motivation is right or wrong, pure or impure. And so people think that intention is something that you say. But when you say something, that's an action. The victim wound up dead. So what do you say in your defense? You say, that's not what I intended. I was just saying, and I was expressing my anger. I wasn't actually intending to kill anyone. And so intention is what you were thinking before you said or did something, not the actual saying and doing. So if you're going to pray and you say, nawaitu an usalli salat al-dhuhr, I intend to pray salat al-dhuhr, that is not the intention. Those are the words. The intention is what you thought before you said those words. And what did you think before you said those words? You said, oh, I've got to have an intention, because intention is required for every ibadah, because that's what the Prophet said. But the words aren't the intention. The intention is what you thought about. And so intention can affect your aqidah, that is your beliefs, or it can affect your outward actions. Your beliefs, for example, your intention has to be in your prayer, in your fasting, in your charity, and every deed that you do for the sake of Allah alone, of the one true God.